am headed to my mom's house. So I have a nursery chair in my son's room. Well, I want to put it in my daughter's room because it was like my favorite thing, nursing my son in this chair. It makes a difference if you're like on the fence of whether or not you should get like a nursery chair. Even if you don't nurse, it makes such a difference. I want to get a chair in my daughter's room. I bet you he would really like a beanbag. I just feel like that would be so cozy. On top of that, I feel like it would be perfect to take from room to room, mainly for when baby girl starts crawling. I can take it with me into the playroom because now we do have a playroom. I can take it into the playroom with me, and while she's like learning how to crawl and she just spends a lot of time on the floor, I can be in something more comfortable than just sitting on the floor. I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like a beanbag is another like type of item that is good for parents to have. My parents have one that they have not used probably ever. I just think he'll love it. So it's perfect. My parents have one that they're not even using, so I'm just gonna take it, and if they ever need it, they can have it back. But I know they spent a really, really pretty penny on it back in the day, so I'm gonna go pick it up. Baby girl has been going through the 4-month sleep regression, and it's been pretty difficult because she's very clingy, she's uncomfortable, she isn't getting enough sleep. But I have learned, you guys know I never could figure it out with my son. I've learned with her timing. I know the cues a lot better. I feel like when parents struggle with sleep, I feel like sleep training, if you will, I feel like parents need sleep training because parents need to be more informed on when is the best time to put their baby down, because obviously the baby can't physically say, I'm tired, put me down. And you can read all the cues, and sucking, the rubbing their eyes, rubbing their ear, like you can read about all the different cues that are just your standard cues, but there's so much more. I just have followed her schedule, and I followed her cues, and I followed things with her. And the thing is a lot of times, and I am not a doctor, I don't even really do sleep training. It's not that I don't believe in it, but I just feel like every family's different. So anyways, I'm not saying that I am like any good at this, because my son, I had so much postpartum anxiety with my son all the way up until my daughter was born. I'm not joking. Until my daughter was born, I had postpartum anxiety, or just parenting anxiety. Your second child, you just get it. You parent differently, you take in infancy differently, you appreciate moments differently. It's just a different experience. I forgot that I had 2 strollers in here. So for the first time, we did take the kids to Target. We needed to have some sort of normalcy. So we did take the kids out. I think I might have told you the other day, but we did take the kids to Target the other day. And the only thing we were comfortable with was either if I had her in my sling and I was like wearing her, or if they each were in a stroller. So we decided to just take 2 strollers and see how my son did in one. It was perfect. They both were in a stroller. My daughter was completely covered because we have the baby jogger. The baby jogger has a cover built into it. So I was able to keep her completely 100% covered up, and it wasn't a problem. We had 2 strollers in the car, and we had both kids' car seats. So I ended up having to put like the stroller, one's in the front seat with me, one is in the back seat. I had to move my daughter's car seat, and I put it on top of my son's car seat. So my car is like a complete jigsaw puzzle right now. But I'm super excited to have this beanbag. I think it's gonna be... Hello. Quick little update. We have been riding the 4-month sleep regression train so hard lately, and it really has been taking like a huge toll on me because I'm not getting any sleep. Thankfully, I think we're on the up and up. I hope. Every time I start thinking we are, it like just kind of spirals out of control. So there's a couple things that like I'm still learning. I'm a 2nd-time mom, and I'm still, you know, having to learn how she behaves and what she likes. So she has always been sleeping in like a bassinet. So with my son, he slept in the rock and play, which I know was discontinued, what do you call it? It was recalled after he was already out of it. I mean, I think he was already like 1 or 1.5 or whatever when it was recalled. So it wasn't a time that I was like using it with him anymore, but I really stood behind that product. I loved it a lot, and I've talked to you guys about that before. I've been very open about that, but I do understand it's been recalled and it's not a safe product for babies. It's just not a product that I can recommend given the fact that it's been recalled. So there has been other babies. While it was really great for us, and it was a game changer for us. It wasn't for some families, unfortunately. That's what he slept in, and it really was a game changer for us. However, I thought he slept in it a lot longer than he did, but I kind of looked back on photos and I realized that we transitioned him straight from the rock and play into a pack and play, which was the pack and play has a bassinet in it, but we never used the bassinet, mainly because the way my husband kind of installed the bassinet, it looked like baby was kind of like rolling a little bit, and I was always worried that he was going to roll to his side, and kind of there's mesh all around it, so it would have been fine if he did do that. But I didn't realize it was kind of the way that my husband, you know, installed it. The fabric he kind of had uneven, and I didn't realize that until actually baby girl. So we just never used the bassinet part, but I did like to put him in the flat bed, just the normal pack and play. And there's two levels. There's the higher level for when they aren't, you know, sitting up or anything like that, and then there's the bottom level, and we used it all the way until he was on the very bottom, and it was great for us. And then we transitioned him from that into his crib, and it was like the most seamless transition. Like, I mean, it was seamless. So that being said, we've been having her in the bassinet in the pack and play, and it's been really great. It has a little bit of an incline itself, which is really why I liked the rock and play, because when babies have any kind of acid reflux or any kind of reflux, colic, anything like that, having him at an incline really helps them with that. And so I found that with both babies, having them at an incline really helped with their sleep, and I really give it to that for why my babies were both really good sleepers. But now we've been going through the 4-month sleep regression, which is the hardest one, mainly because this is their permanent sleep habit. I mean, obviously it's gonna change or whatever, but they turn into like more of an adult type of sleep pattern where their REM sleep is different now. It's no longer the newborn sleep. So it's a big adjustment, and it lasts quite a while. It can last anywhere from like 2 to 6 weeks. I feel like we're on like week 4. I honestly believe we've been going through it for about a month now, and it's been really hard. Anyway, I decided to make the decision to now switch her to laying flat. I've been noticing that she's not rolling as often or as soon as my son did. My son was rolling, I mean, probably like 3 months, and like when I mean rolling, I mean like constant, like non-stop, like playing on the floor, like all over the place. Like he was very busy by this age, and I've noticed with her she's not. And I started to try and think, I'm like, okay, well, why? And it's mainly because she's constantly in a bassinet or her swing or something that is keeping her like contained and not really open to being able to roll around, move. And so I was like, you know what, I need to start keeping her on the floor, number one, which super excited because now we have a rug. My husband bought us a rug yesterday, and I'm so excited. I just haven't been able to spend a lot of time on the floor with her, and so I was just noticing she wasn't rolling a lot. She knew how, but I just noticed she felt like she needed to just kind of stay put. So I started putting her in her crib for naps recently, and I noticed that she's like almost smiling when she's sleeping, and naps have been really hard to come by. It's not always like a guarantee, but whenever she would nap, it was whenever she was in her crib, and it was whenever she just felt like free and open, and she was able to move around. And I was noticing when I would put her in her crib, she'd roll to her side or even like almost to her belly, but she loved being off of her back and onto her side. And the pediatrician, and I'm so glad she said it this time because I did not know this with my son, the pediatrician said if he or if she were to roll over onto her belly, as long as you put her in on her back, if they roll, they can stay in that position. You don't have to turn them back over. With our son, we used to turn him over every time, and my son was such a belly sleeper. So when he would roll to his belly, we'd wait until he was like really asleep, and we'd kind of push him back over to his back, and it just was such a nightmare, just constantly being worried about that. But now, you know, I'm finding out if they can roll from their back to their belly, they physically are able to, you know, move their face to be okay. I've got to get her on a normal bed. I don't know why I waited this long. The girl is like 4.5 months old, and ever since then, I'm not kidding you, we started the floor time, like the constant floor time, like the almost never in her swing time yesterday. Already today, I put her down in the pack and play. She rolled over to her belly and on her side, and I'm like, okay. And she's been out since. So anyways, moral of the story, I know it's been very long, but moral of the story is if you're struggling, try and see if maybe they don't like that type of environment. The other thing that's been working for us today is I changed the white noise sound. So before I was using, I've been using the Hatch. Originally I was using a lullaby sound, and it was gold, but then I started noticing that she didn't stay asleep with that because my son would make a noise maybe during the quieter time. We don't have any cookies left. The cookies are all gone. She would wake when my son would make a noise during the more quiet moment. So I switched to the TV sound on the hatch. And if you guys have the hatch, you guys know what I'm talking about. I switched to the TV sound. It's more of a higher pitch white noise, and I personally don't like that one. I like the deeper one. So I found the wind one, and the wind one is gold. So far she's out. So I'm hoping that like is attributed to it so I can do that all the time. I'm really feeling good today. I feel confident today. I've been just kind of down the last so many weeks, just kind of, why is my baby not sleeping? I'm not getting any sleep, and I've just been really tired. It's honestly been every hour to every other hour she's been waking up. So this stretch is really... Hey guys, it's Friday. Yesterday was rough. I was like just trying to survive on little to no sleep and just trying to get through the day. I mean, yesterday was so rough. I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? I need to like backtrack and I need to think, when did these days start getting hard? Because we had the best newborn days. So when did they start getting hard? And is there a way that I can use my mind to kind of change the narrative and make it to where these days aren't as seemingly hard? So I was trying to think, and I'm like, you know what? When these days just really started to get overbearing, it was when I started obsessing over changing things up with her. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start putting her in her crib. I'm gonna start using this white noise machine. I'm gonna start doing this. And no wonder this girl is like, what is going on? I mean, she slept in one bassinet. I changed her to another bassinet. That was a pretty seamless transition, wasn't a big deal. But now I've taken her from this second bassinet and I've now put her into this other sleeping arrangement. And now she's like, okay, I'm already going through a regression. I'm already going through all these new things. I'm developing in so many different ways that you don't even know. And now you're moving me again. Trying to think, I'm like, okay, well, why did I move her so much? I moved her because I felt like she needed to have a bigger open area, because I feel like at this age, she should want that, and because she should be wanting to roll over, she should be wanting to move and have more space. But then I found myself again saying she should be wanting this, but maybe she doesn't want that right now. However, we've already started that game and we've already started to see some progress, so I'm not going to go back. But moving forward, I'm going to recognize the fact that a lot of things changed recently, so I'm gonna try and stop that. I also was finding myself reading a lot of articles of what's the best white noise from the hatch rest and what is the best volume, going onto Instagram and asking all these questions. And I'm like, you know what? Back when I had my son, when we went through the worst of days, was when I was asking for a lot of advice on how to get him to nap. Breastfeeding was the #1. All the things that we really struggled with was when I was asking for a lot of advice, and when I was like, okay, well, what is everybody else doing? And that's when like things were just failing and going south, and I wasn't able to get him to nap, and I wasn't able to breastfeed properly. One way I can kind of give an example of what I'm trying to say is, when I was breastfeeding my son and I went through the hell I went through and had to have surgery and all the different things, one of the main things that I always focused on was I didn't want to give him a bottle. #1, because of the stamina that's behind it. So many moms are like, oh my gosh, a bottle, blah, blah, blah. If you give him a bottle, he's going to become dependent on the bottle and he's not going to want the breast. And I just let all these things that I was hearing online and hearing from other women get in my head, and I never gave the kid a bottle. So instead, we had a really like hellish situation on our hands. I wasn't able to comfortably nurse. I ended up having to get surgery. I ended up just being miserable. I was a miserable parent and I was just a miserable person. It was mainly because I just was listening to everybody else, and I was listening to what they were doing. I was listening to what they were recommended. And then finally I went and I saw a lactation consultant, and while I probably wouldn't see one again, I believe that they're fantastic. But for my situation, I felt like I didn't personally need to see them, because even the lactation consultant couldn't even diagnose me with the fact that I had a breast abscess. I mean, it was massive. So that being said, I would have expected them to have known that at that time, and they didn't. That could just be me being just salty about it. But anyways, I loved my lactation consultant. It has nothing to do with her. It just had something to do with, I just felt like I wasn't getting any help in the area I needed the help at the time. But she ended up giving the best advice. She ended up saying, give your baby a bottle. Give him a bottle. Don't give him the breast. Take 2 weeks off. You can take 2 weeks off or more if you need it, but I'm gonna recommend you just need about 2 weeks. She's like, take 2 weeks off. Don't let him go to the breast and give him strictly a bottle. And when she said that, I remember my heart doing because I thought that was the end of our breastfeeding relationship, and I thought that was the end. I mean, the lactation consultant is telling me to stop, but that wasn't what she was trying to say. She was saying give him a bottle of breast milk, number one, but she was trying to say give yourself a break, give yourself grace, and give yourself a second to heal, and he'll come back to the breast. And I just remember thinking in my head, because everybody else said there's nipple confusion, he's not going to go back to the breast, all the things I heard online, I remember just having this internal battle of like, no, I don't want to let myself heal. I don't want to give him just a bottle because I want to be able to breastfeed him. So I finally had enough. I was like, I'm going to take her advice then. And if she's wrong, at least I have someone to blame. So I did. I took 2 weeks off, and guess what happened? I probably didn't take a full 2 weeks, but guess what ended up happening? My son went back to the breast gladly. Not a problem. No transition problem whatsoever. Was able to take bottle and breast every day. No problem, no issues. And so what did I learn there? Don't listen to people online. Don't listen to everybody else's advice, because every child is different, every mom is different, everybody in this situation is different, and people I think are wanting to give good advice. They're wanting to give what worked for them, but that does not mean it has to work for you. So what I'm noticing now is that I keep forcing her to listen to this noise on the sound machine. I know this is so strange, but there was like 2 different sounds that would like work so solid with her, and I remember being like, oh, these are great. But then when I would read like reviews from people, they're like, no, the only sound you can ever use is just strictly white noise, the like white TV static on the hatch rest. And like, both she and I, neither one of us are comfortable with that noise. I don't even like that noise. There's no way I'd be able to sleep with that noise. I'm not soothed like when I'm nursing her and hearing that noise. Like, not even I'm soothed. So why would I expect my baby to be soothed? I know we are obviously different, but she doesn't like it either. So I ended up switching back to, she really likes wind. She really likes, I think it was the wave sound. She loves the lullaby sound. I switched back to that, and guess what? Just like my son, I ended up using lullabies with him. Like, he really likes the white noise. It always was helpful as far as noise goes, but as far as soothing him and getting him to sleep, he does very well with like a lullaby type of music or classical music. So that being said, everyone is different, and I'm done. I'm like, done. My baby does not need to be like Sally's baby, like Susie's baby, like Josephine's baby. Like, my baby needs to be herself, and I need to stop doing that. I need to stop comparing her to her brother. Her brother was light years ahead. Okay, she is on the normal, like she is like following these steps normal, and I've got to stop doing that. So I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing that anymore. Moving forward, new mindset. I'm gonna do what works for her. Screw all these forums, all of these like sleep training you know, specialists and stuff like that. I think they're fantastic for babies who really need it, for parents who really need it. I don't believe that I need that. I believe that I need someone who's not going to put so much weight. I feel like a lot of them put a lot of weight on your shoulders, and I don't need that. I don't need to be lectured. I don't personally work well that way. I don't do well with people telling me how I should do things, and so it doesn't work for me. I don't want to listen to all this outside noise. It's going to be about me, my family, and that's it. That was just like a really quick little rant for you guys. I plan on doing so many of these videos. I know I say it all the time, but like, I'm ready. What are we doing? Hockey, yeah. I'm freaking out right now, like in a very, very good way. So I put baby girl down probably almost an hour ago. She's still asleep, which is the longest nap, actually, sad to say, that she's taken in quite a while. We've been struggling really bad with this regression. It's been really, really hard. So like I was saying in my tangent a clip ago, I just have been struggling with like trying to get her the right white noise and all this crap, all this baloney. So I ended up, I'm using the Hatch app, and I ended up getting her, this one's solid. Okay, so like the lullabies worked really well and the wind was working really well, but there was still something that was like off, and I wanted something that was more static, like one that just stayed the same sound, or maybe a little variation. Here it goes. So on the Hatch app, I ended up reading some different reviews. I saw other moms post a screenshot of like what their volume setting was set on, and I saw just the sound that they were using, and the sound is gold. I didn't use Wave because my son's, he has the Roam, I can't remember, he has one of them, and it has a Wave one, and the Wave one is one of those ones that goes louder and quieter. So when I would like go through the sounds on the Hatch, I would see that one and I just would be like, okay, I'm not gonna use that one because I thought it would go louder and quieter and whatever. It's not that way. It's actually just like the perfect white noise. But yeah, so we're making a huge mess in here. He's playing and just keeps saying, Mommy, here it goes. You want chicken nuggets?
No, shit.
You want peanut butter and jelly?
No, shit.
You want peanut butter and jelly?
Shit.
You want mac and cheese?
Shit.
Chicken nuggets?
No, shit. Mommy, shit. Mommy, shit.
Do you want mac and cheese?
No, shit.
Cereal, I get it. Do you want mac and cheese?
No, shit.
That's why he says snack / cereal.
Mommy.
Huh?